The next step in setting up your project for success is understanding the 3 steps to plan your project. So there's obviously a whole career involved in project management. We're not going to get into that, but we will talk about a few simple things that can help you out as you're setting up your project. The intended audience for this video and this article is the program manager, the project manager, and the project planner. The project manager and project planner are the ones that are most critical as far as intended audience for this content. There's a critical prerequisite, which is making sure that you've read the article, and it's mostly the video, and watch this video on understanding the PPPS framework. That is going to be referenced throughout this conversation, and it's critical that you understand the basic concepts of that as you get through the entire section here for your setting up your project. So the 3 steps are really simple, and we'll keep them high level. Step 1 is making sure you have written goals. Step 2 is establishing your team. And step 3 is building a plan and tracking the work. So let's just go dive into those for a minute. Step 1 is written goals. And if you ever heard the adage, if you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you arrived? That's definitely true on a project. So step number 1, and generally, if we look at projects that are off the rails, step 1 is making sure they have a clear set of outcomes or goals. So the key is keep them simple. Your goals, put them in writing. I'd suggest having 3 to 5 key results that you're looking for out of the project. And make sure you and go to the article. You'll see some examples there, and certainly there's a bunch of examples in that PPPS video. Make sure that the business stakeholders have buy-in. So if you're the project manager that's in charge of delivering this project, it's critical that you make sure that the stakeholders, the business people that are going to be judging you on whether you delivered the results to the business or not, have buy-in on what the results are that you're delivering for this project. And then make sure once you do that those goals are known by all on the project team. So everyone should be aware of the goals, so they're all working and aligned towards those goals. There's really 2 macro types of goals. We covered this in detail in the PPPS framework video, but just to repeat, 1 is capability. That's really gaining functionality. So it's allowing my customers to be able to track their invoices or pay their invoices or search for products or see inventory levels or place orders or make returns. Those are example of capability goals. Those are each individual potential capability goals. So that's getting the functionality. And there's onboarding tasks that happens. There's deployment that happens on the CIMcloud platform to turn on the features. There's sync data that might be hooked up to hook it up with your ERP system. And then there's onboarding, setup, and configuration, maybe content and data that has to be done to get that software ready to be used in a live setting. The next thing is the adoption, and that's the usage. That's where the money, the rubber meets the road, and that's where you're going to get a return on investment. That's getting adoption typically by your customers for the self-service capabilities, or by your workers that are typically, but not always customer-facing people that are logging in and getting access to the information and visibility on what's going on. Second thing is establishing a team. The keys here is making sure you know the roles that need to be filled. Some of the biggest issues that we've seen in projects doing this over a couple decades is companies that attempted to do projects and didn't even understand the job functions that were involved in having a successful project. So there's no way they could possibly fill them. Again, the PPPS framework goes through that in detail. And we have a job functions worksheet that's a worksheet that you can download and fill out to make sure you have total clarity on the job functions that are involved. And we go through that in more detail in another article. But some highlights there are people can have more than one, be wearing more than one hat or taking on more than one job function. By the way, we use the word roles, job functions, and hats all interchangeably. It's just positions or roles or hats that people are wearing throughout the project. So a person can have more than one hat. You just need to make sure that there is a person in each one of the seats or those roles or job functions. Also, every team member has to have a yes to all 3 of these. 1, they have to get the role, so they have to understand what it is and the importance to the project. 2, they have to want to roll, so they have to be willing to actually do the role. And number 3, they have to have the capacity to do it. And there's 2 types of capacity. 1 is the skill set and the mental capacity required to do it. And there's various different skills involved in this. Number 2 is the time capacity and the bandwidth and priority to be able to do the job functions. If you have people that have the mental or skill capacity but don't have the time capacity, it poses a significant risk to your project. You as the project manager having to deliver that project on time and on budget and on scope. The last thing is plan and track the work. So a plan, at the very least, it's written so everyone can see it. And at the very least, it's going to include a list of tasks that must be done, the dates they should be completed by, and the person on the team that's responsible for completing the task. So if you've never embarked on a CIM related or e-commerce related project before, that could be daunting to figure out what are all the tasks, and you may have blind spots. So there's ways you can get help on that. We have a pro services practice that can get involved and help you at hourly rates to supplement, or can actually do full managed projects for you. If you're taking this on yourself, I'd recommend going into the help center. We have put together an onboarding checklist that is all the typical tasks that are involved, from going to, we just purchased CIMcloud, all the way to go live on CIMcloud. So I would recommend digging in, and that's in the help center. You'll see a help icon in the left rail that will, and you drill into the onboarding guide and hit the onboarding checklist. The orientation checklist, of course, is just a subset of the onboarding checklist to get you quickly acquainted with the platform. But the onboarding checklist is a much more exhaustive task list of what's involved in getting all the features that you purchased live. So good luck with the project. Let us know if we can do anything to help.